Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing about Mucukunda's prayers. So before going into this chapter in detail with the prayers, so let us actually go through the basic understanding of the chapter and then say how do we enter into this chapter. Let me share the screen. So this is a pastime of the Lord, wherein we'll be seeing little bit background about of Jarasindha on this. Okay, so and then how this story has unfolded. So this is the deliverance of Mucukunda. So if you look at little bit about the background, right? So the Lord was actual after killing Kamsa, right? So Kamsa had married the daughters of Jarasandha. Okay, and then their names were Asti and Trapti, right? So once the Kamsa was killed, right, by Lord Krishna, so they went to their father and then they informed the scene saying that Krishna has killed Kamsa and then he has made us widow. Then hearing this, right, the father became angry and then he said that so I'll take a vow that I'll actually annihilate or get rid of the Yadavas. Okay. So that was the vow which he took, and then post which, right? So he tried to attack Mathura. Okay, and then he used to actually come up with a big Akshoni Senas. Okay, he used to come with 23 Akshoni Senas to attack Lord Krishna. So basically, Mathura, and then because he wanted to live with his promise, right? So every time he used to bring Akshoni Senas of 23 Akshoni Senas, which consisted of 21, one Akshoni Sena consisted of 21,870 soldiers on elephant. So 21,870 charioteers, 65,610 cavalrymen, and 1,09,350 infantry soldiers. So into 23. So that was the strength he used to bring all the time to fight with Krishna. So when he was coming through, right? So Krishna saw that he's coming with his army, right? So then Krishna actually informed Balram that "So our job is to we came here, we took this form to actually annihilate all the miscreants, and then they're coming in. So I need your help." So by the time they thought in right, so they got their own chariots, which were eternal, their paraphernalia, and then so the bows, arrows, everything were in place. And then they went with a very small army. And every time they used to go, right? So they used to defeat Jarasandha. Okay. All these army men would be killed by Krishna and Balaram. So they used to say, throw, they used to shower the arrows like anything, and all all the army men would be dead except Jarasandha. And then when Balaram tied him with a rope, Krishna used to say that leave him. So this happened for 17 times. Yeah. So 17 times he tried to attack Mathura, so being the king of Magadha. And then every time he had the same story. So every time he was defeated. And then so initially he was very dejected, seeing that he's getting defeated. And then he felt that he was very ashamed. Yeah. But then the kings actually told him that the kings who were in favor of him, right? So who were um, basically very close to him, right? They used to say that it's not that you're not powerful or so, but it's some karma which due to which, due to bad karma, you are actually failing, but you will win in. So in that hope, right? So every time he used to actually bring a lot of soldiers, and Krishna was happy because this was the thing, right? So all the miscreants were bought at one place, and then Krishna's job was made easy, and then he used to come and annihilate them. So post that, right? What happened is, when he was trying to attack at the 18th time, right? So at that time, there was a barbarian king called Kalayavana. Okay, so he was very barbaric, and then he was actually looking for an opponent. So he was very powerful, and then he was not getting a proper opponent. And then he was in search of a powerful man or powerful army with whom he can actually fight with, because wherever he went, right, so he used to win. And so he felt that there is no opponent, proper opponent available on the earth. So once what happened is Narad Muni comes into the scene, and then he asks, "Is there anyone with whom I can actually fight, or say, is there a real opponent to me?" Then Narad Muni says that yes, the Yadu dynasties or the Yadavas are the best fit for you, and then they are the greatest heroes, and then you can fight with them. So with that, so Kala Yavana also tries to attack, comes, so he also marches towards Mathura, right? So simultaneously there were two armies were coming, and one was Jarasandha's army, and the other one was Kala Yavana. Right, so looking at this thing, right, so Krishna sensed, okay, so because both the armies are coming in, right, so if we are actually engaging in one way, the other army may attack his family and the friends and all, right? So his kingdom, what did Krishna do is he said that he informed Balaram that you go and take care of the so of the battalions if anything are coming in, and then in the meanwhile, right, Krishna actually built Dwaraka in the water, right, and then he shifted everyone, so all the queens, his sons, everyone were shifted, and they were placed safe. And then what happens is, now Krishna again comes back, okay, and then this time Krishna actually comes back, and then he doesn't wear any armor or anything, so he just wears a flower garland, and then he walks, okay, so to the battle arena, so where Kalayavana is ready to fight, yeah. So what happens is, Kalayavana was being described. So Narada Muni had described how the personality of Godhead looks in, the supreme personality of Godhead looks in, so how Krishna looks in, right? All the features were described. So looking at Krishna, right, he felt that okay, so he is the one with whom I have to fight, and then the description which Narad Muni gave, it fully matches. So this is what is described in the text 1 to 6. Yeah. So Sukadev Goswami said, Kalayavana saw the Lord come out of the Mathura like the rising moon. The Lord was most beautiful to behold with his dark blue complexion and yellow silk garment. Yeah. So the description of the Lord is being given. Upon his chest he bore the mark of Srivatsa and Kaustava gem adorned his neck. His forearms were sturdy and long. Yeah. He displayed his ever joyful lotus like face with eyes pink like lotuses, beautifully effulgent cheeks, a pristine smile, and glittering shark shaped earrings. So these are the description of the Lord which the barbarian king Kalayavana could see. Yeah? The barbarian thought this person must indeed be Vasudeva, right? Since he possesses the characteristics Narada mentioned. He is marked with Srivatsa. He has 4 arms. His eyes are like lotuses. He wears a garland of forest flowers and is extremely handsome. He cannot be anyone else since he goes on foot and unarmed. I will fight with I will fight him without weapons. So he's saying that now he'll fight without weapons. Yeah. So because he sees that Lord Krishna is unarmed, so he says that he'll fight unarmed. Okay, and then he started chasing Krishna. So what happened is, as Kalayavana was coming in, was marching towards Krishna, right? Krishna also starting running, right? And then what happened is, whatever speed he was running, right? He was just short of one hand to catch Krishna. So Krishna was matching his speed, yeah. So either he was running whatever speed Kalyavana was running in it, always he was one hand short to get hold of Krishna. So they ran for some distance, and then what happened is, while chasing, so Yavana was inside, Kalyavana was actually saying that it's not proper, you should not run away, you are a Kshatriya, we should fight, and all these things he was doing. So after some distance, right, what happened is, Krishna entered into a cave. Okay. And then Kalayavana also entered into a cave. Then what happened is, after some time, right? So there was a person who was actually sleeping with a blanket. So on his face, so he was covered. And then Kalayavana thought that, okay, this is Krishna who is hiding and then who is playing. And then he kicked him. Okay. So the moment he kicked him, right? So there was a personality who actually got up and then actually saw him. So Kalayavana. So the moment he saw, right, Kalayavana was turned into ashes. Yeah. So the personality who actually turned Kalayavana into ashes is none other than Mucukunda. Okay. So the story goes, so why Mucukunda was actually sleeping in the cave, right? So Mucukunda was a very great king. Yeah? So he was an earthly king who was a very good devotee of the Lord also. Okay. So in the past, right? So the devatas actually asked him for help because to fight with the demons, right? So they were short of resources, or that's the reason they asked. And Muchukunda was actually fighting for them in for many years with the demons. Yeah, so he fought for many years until the Kartikeya came as a general, and then he replaced Muchukunda. And then, but so the devatas were very pleased, and then they asked him, "So tell us one thing, one boon, benediction which we can give you. Only thing is, you don't ask for liberation because liberation is something which we cannot give, and then that can be only provided by Lord Vishnu." Okay, so they said that we cannot do, but whatever you want, the other benedictions we can actually give you. So then he asked that it's been long time, so I have not actually slept. So give me a boon that I'll sleep. So I want to take rest. And then he said that whosoever comes in, right, whosoever disturbs, then he should be actually burnt into ashes depending upon his karma. Okay. So that was the boon which he got. And then here you see King Muchukunda took his respectful leave of demigods and went to cave where he lay down to enjoy the sleep they had granted. Okay. So then what happened is Mucukunda actually sees the Lord. Okay. And then after burning this, right, as he gazed at the Lord, King Mucukunda saw that he was a dark blue like a cloud, had 4 arms, and wore a silk garment. On his chest he bore Srivatsa mark, and on his neck the brilliantly glowing Kaustubha gem, adorned with a Vaijayanti garland. The Lord displayed his handsome, peaceful face, which attract the eyes of all mankind with its shark-shaped earrings and affectionately smiling glance. So this is nothing but 400 Vishnu form was being shown to him. The beauty of his youthful form was unexcelled, and he moved with the nobility of an angry lion. The highly intelligent king was overwhelmed by the Lord's effulgence, which showed him to be invincible. Expressing his uncertainty, Muchkunta hesitantly questioned Lord Krishna as follows. Okay. So by looking at all these things, right? So because he was also a pious king, and then he was also a devotee, right? So in his childhood, right? So Gargamuni actually saw his um, Jataka, right? And then he said that so one day you will meet with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So and then he says that who are you, and then why are you actually um, why have you come to this mountain? Yeah. So with your lotus like feet, right? Those are very soft, and then why are you being here? So and then he actually sensed it that this is Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? He said then he says that I think you are the Supreme Personality of God, personality among the three chief gods, since you drive away the darkness of cave as lamp dispels darkness with its light. So this is the darkness of spirituality which goes away. Yeah? So he's asking, oh best among men, if you like, please truly describe your birth activities and lineage to us who are eager to hear. Okay. And then he gives his introduction. Okay. So first he gives in his introduction. So we'll just see in. Okay. He says that as far as for ourselves, so he's giving his own introduction, and he says that, oh tiger among men, we belong to a family of fallen Kshatriyas, descendants of Ikshvaku. My name is Muchukunda, my lord, and I am the son of Yovana Yovanashva. Okay. So this is a common practice. Okay. So even the purport has been written, so wherein the Kshatriya introduces himself as a Kshatriya Bandhu, a mere relative in the Kshatriya family. So just to humbly introduce themselves. Yeah. So that was the first. Muchkunda gives us a small introduction about him, and then he says that I was fatigued and remaining awake for a long time, and my senses were overwhelmed by sleep. So he was fatigued by fighting, right, for a longer time. So hence he says that he gives the reason of his fatigue, and thus I slept comfortably here in the solitary place until just now someone woke me. Okay. The man who woke me was burned to ashes by the reaction of his sin. So this is what the boon he had asked from the Devatas. Okay. Just then I saw you possessing a glorious appearance and the power to chastise your enemies. Okay. So then he says that your unbearably brilliant effulgence overwhelms our strength, and thus we cannot fix our gaze upon you. O exalted one, you are to be honored by all embodied beings. So he knew, and then he gave his introduction, and now we'll see that how the Lord introduces him. So the text number 36 is very nice, yeah? So wherein the Lord describes himself. So the Lord introduces himself, so it is um, very nice verse. Yeah? So we'll see through this. there are the next couple of verses. The Lord introduces himself. Yeah, so I, by his introduction, so everyone can know that he's none other than Krishna. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear friend, I have taken thousands of births, lived thousands of lives, and accepted thousands of names. In fact, my birth, activities, and names are limitless." Okay, so he's saying that I've taken thousands of births, okay, lived thousands of lives, and accepted thousands of names. In fact, my births, activities, and names are limitless, and thus even I cannot count them. So he says that my birth, everything is unlimited. After many lifetimes, someone might count the dust particles on the earth, but no one can ever finish counting my qualities, activities, names, and births. So those, because Lord's, we know that everything, see, the Lord possesses everything unlimited, right? So no one can know, right? So even the great sages, right? Or Lord Brahma also doesn't know. Yeah. About his qualities, pastimes, activities, name, birth, no one knows. So whatever is been there in Srimad Bhagavatam, we are fortunate with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that we are getting this knowledge. Yeah. So that's the thing which we know. And so apart from this, we don't know. Yeah. O King, the greatest sages enumerate my births and activities which take place throughout the three phases of time, but never do they reach the end of them. So they try. Okay. Great sages enumerate my births and activities which takes place throughout the three phases of time, but never do they reach the end of them. Nonetheless, oh friend, I'll tell you about my current birth. So he's coming. So he gave his introduction, and then he's slowly coming to what his current birth is. Yeah, he says that names and activities, kindly hear me. Some time ago, Lord Brahma requested me to protect religious principle and destroy the demons who were burdening the earth. Okay, so this was the thing where um, Lord Brahma had actually requested, right? So we know because the demonic qualities were more on the planets. So Lord Brahma had actually prayed, and then all the devatas also prayed, right, to Lord Vishnu, and then he said that he'll descend, and then because Kamsa was very demonic, and then so he was creating a havoc, right? So and then he says that I descend in the Yadu dynasty. Now he is giving the clear picture in the home of Anakadu Dundubhi, who is none other than Nanda Maharaj. Indeed, because I am the son of, okay, he's sorry, he's not Nanda Maharaj, he is Vasudeva. So, and I am known as Vasudeva, as he is the son of Vasudeva, right? So, he is giving the introduction as the son of Vasudeva, and his name is Vasudeva. I have killed, now he is saying that whom he has killed. I have killed Kalanemi, reborn as Kamsa, as well as Pralamba and other enemies of the pious. And now, O king, this barbarian has been burned to ashes by your piercing glance. He says that now you have killed us, king. So in the past I have done those things, and then he was left to be killed by you. Yeah. See, here he mentioned, since in the past you repeatedly prayed to me, I have personally come to this cave to show you mercy, for I am affectionately inclined to my devotees, because in the past Mucukunda was a great devotee of the Lord. Yeah? And then now the Lord is asking, so ask for any benedictions, right? And then I'll give you. And then Mucukunda actually doesn't ask any of the material boons. He says that give me your association. Yeah. So we'll go through those texts, and then you'll see that so he'll not ask any material boon, and then he'll only ask that, so give me a benediction where I can associate with you. So Mucukunda bowed down to the Lord when he heard, remembering the words of sage Garga. So the herein Garga Muni has actually told him that he'll one day meet with the Supreme Lord Narayana. So Mucukunda now he prays in. He says that these are the prayers of Mucukunda. Right? The people of this world, both men and women, are bewildered by your illusory energies. This is what Maya, right? Unaware of the real benefit, they do not worship you, but instead seek happiness by entangling themselves in family affairs, which are actually source of miseries. Right. So this is what happens to all of us, right? So we are actually entangled in this family affairs. Right? So it's not that we don't have, we leave our families and move on, but so we should have both the we should have the spiritual connection also. So we should so we should not live that. Yeah. So it's not that we only have to do the material things and then slowly try to inculcate the habit of spirituality in the family so that the whole family becomes spiritual and then the goal becomes one. Yeah. That person has an impure mind who, despite having somehow or other automatically obtained the rare and highly evolved human form. So he's saying that human form is the greatest one, so wherein one should actually do worship the Lord and then so listen the pastimes, right? So we should always have, as Krishna said, right? Manmana mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So we should be practicing those things and then go back to Godhead, right? I have wasted all this time becoming more and more intoxicated by my domain and opulences as an earthly king, misidentifying the mortal body as the self. He's saying that I have wasted all my time misidentifying myself as the body and not the soul. Becoming attached to children, wives, treasuries, and land, I suffered endless anxiety. So this is what he says, right? Because one after the other, right? So these things entangle. So first it is job, then wife, then children, then their marriage, and all these things are endless anxieties. Yeah. With deep arrogance, I took myself to be body, which is material object like a pot or a wall. Okay, so the material body is similar to a pot, and that's it, right? Um, So at any time it can break. Thinking myself a god among men, I traveled the earth surrounding by charioteers, elephants, chivalry, foot soldiers, and generals, disregarding you in my deluding pride. So this is what is happens to majority of the people, right? Mm. So we all are in the same boat. So we think that we are the karta, but everything happens by the will and mercy of the Lord. So that we all forget. So a man obsessed with thoughts of what he thinks needs to be done, intensely greedy and delighting in sense enjoyment, is suddenly confronted by you. Okay, this is nothing but the death. So when everyone enjoys, right? So everyone feels that he'll never die. But yes, there is something kala which comes in and then takes us away. And then what is this body, right? So he actually describes the actual fate of the body. So what will happen? eh? So here he says that the fate of the body that at first rides high on fierce elephants and chariots adorned with gold and is known by the name of king. Okay, so what? So he's a king, right? So he has all the opulences, right? All the opulences in the sense he has wealth as an opulence, right? So and He has all chariots, servants, he has everything. He'll eat in a golden spoon, golden plate, right? He'll actually sit on a golden asana and everything. So, but what happens by the as he grows old, right? Death comes in, and then what will happen once the death comes in? So the body is burned into ashes, or it is buried, right? So it is buried under the land, wherein the worms come and eat. So this body is meant for ashes or worms. So that's the conclusion. Yeah. So that is what he's saying. We should not be very too much attached to the body, but think of the higher principle of connecting the soul to the super soul. Having conquered the entire circles of direction and being thus free of conflict, a man sits on a splendid throne, receiving praise from leaders who are once his equals. But when he enters the women's chambers, where sex pleasure is found, he is led about like a pet animal. So he's saying that in the king's arena, right? So he's an administrator. He does all. He gives instructions and everything. But when it comes to the woman's chamber, right? He is actually led like a pet animal. Yeah. So when the material life of wandering soul has ceased, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. And when he associates with them, there awakens him in him devotion unto you. So when there is association of the devotees, right? The actual devotion awakens. Yeah. So it's with the pure devotees. Yeah. So he says that here you see, O powerful one, I desire no boon other than service unto your lotus foot. This is what the pure devotees will ask for, right? So, what is the use of going to a rich man, right, and then asking for 5,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees, right? So, when he can give you in crores, right? So, if you go to a king and then you ask for 5 rupees, 2 rupees, there is no purpose, right? If the king is asking for you a boon, right, he says that ask me something, right? So, you should ask something bigger and better. So in this case, Krishna is asking him. So he's not asking anything material because he knows that material things are temporary. And then again, he has to follow these things. The chain of reactions will continue. So he says that I don't need all these things. Give me your association so that he'll have the eternal bliss. Right. So he knows his goals are very clear. Right. Possibly it is difficult for us, right? If anyone gives this choice, we may not ask this. Yeah. But yeah, after reading all these books from Prabhupada and say, I think with the purports and all, right? So at least we may ask something better. And probably if our mind and senses are well, and then if we are engaged in Krishna consciousness, right? So probably we'll also ask this boon to serve the Lord. Therefore, O Lord, having put aside all objects of material desires which are bound of mode, passion, ignorance, and goodness, I am approaching you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for shelter. You are not covered by mundane designation, rather, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, he actually says that I don't need anything, right? So, then the Lord says that because you are very pure and potent, so, and then you don't have any material desires. So, he says that um, I'll give you a blessing, Sevarin, because being a king, right? So he had to perform some activities like killing animals and all, right? So because that's the role of a kshatriya. So he said that the Lord says that so because you have followed the principles of kshatriya, you kill living beings while hunting and performing other duties. So in his duties, he has incurred some sins, and then he says that you'll have to purify yourself. So in the next birth, you'll be given the birth of a Brahmana, so wherein you will follow the instructions and then you'll come back to me. Here he says, O king, in your very next life, you will become an excellent Brahmana, the greatest well-wisher of all creatures, and certainly come to me alone. So he says that he'll come back to me. Okay. So we'll end up the session here for today. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Hare Krishna.